Hello, my name's Danny and this is Big Bots Little Bots Unbot, and today I'm just making this simple video to try and help people looking to buy either a ROG Ally or a Steam Deck, or maybe even another solution. Now, I was lucky enough to review the ROG Ally back in May thanks to Constantine, just to see how much has actually changed. You might want to go back and have a look at that video, but spoiler, it's not that much. Let's look at the main issue people have been facing. Firstly, it's a fully functioning Windows PC in a handheld design, unlike the Steam Deck, which is still a PC, but built with a focus on a custom UI and program, which means it performs more like a console. Now, for a lot of people, this is great. But what you need to understand is, if you're approaching from a console-only background and you've not got a lot of experience with PCs, there are some big differences. Because unlike the Steam Deck, which is designed to give a console-like experience, with the Ally, you can customize this device like you would with a standard PC. But this isn't saying the Steam Deck is not also customizable, and many people have modified them heavily. And the difference is, a lot of people are buying the ROG Ally and realizing they just can't pick it up and play games straight away. With all standard Windows computers, you have to go through the initial startup process. And some people that aren't used to that have been resetting when the initial process is started, because they don't realize how long it takes. So they think they're stuck on the load screen, essentially. Some people have been thinking that the unit is dead on arrival because they haven't plugged it into the mains, so it won't power up. And then there's other people that are getting through the initial stage, but then don't realize you have to update all the software, your drivers, Windows, and the BIOS. And just make sure that everything's running smooth before you start installing games. Of course, like any Windows PC, you're going to have a little bit of bloatware. You can remove that and make space, which will also speed up the unit. On the whole, I haven't had too many problems with the Ally. I've had a few random freezes. I've also had it where I'm trying to video edit and it would crash. But generally, for the most part, it's been a good experience. For what it is, at the end of the day, it's a very powerful unit in a very small shell. Now, another strange issue that's definitely a software or BIOS issue is that if you're using a 65 watt or above plug that isn't the original, 90% are not working correctly and putting you in the 30 watt turbo mode. Now, I've tried this device with my Steam Deck dock and with a few other standard USB docks, as well as with more powerful chargers, and even with the actual plug it comes with. It can't get a 30 watt power mode when using the hub with nothing else plugged in. Now, it seems that some docks are working even with the standard power plug, but not all are. And a lot of people were speculating that you needed a 100 watt power supply to be able to use the standard dock. But also, that hasn't seemed to work either for most cases. What's interesting is that the official dock, which is basically a plug with an extra USB and a HDMI port, is only 65 watts. And it says if you use the additional port on it, it would drop down to 60 watts and offer 5 watts to the extra USB port. But basically, you still get 30 watts of power when gaming. So that shows that it's not actually to do with the watts. It's something Asus have put there, maybe a chip or something that activates the 30 watts of turbo mode. So if I were you, I would just hold off either way and maybe buy the official dock, which personally I'm not impressed with, or just hold out for the fits, because otherwise I feel like you're just going to be wasting a lot of time and money trying different things which are unlikely to work anyway. Now, one place I actually think the ROG Ally is really strong is as a portable PC. Now, if you were to use it for office applications or even video editing, it did seem to handle very well. It was plugged in, but obviously if you got the USB power bank that is strong enough, you shouldn't have any problems getting the 30-watt power mode, but potentially some won't work for the same reasons as I just mentioned. I'm sure this will be fixed soon though. The fact that you can have this little powerhouse of a PC in your pocket essentially, and then you may just need to take out a fold-out keyboard, although honestly, the one that comes with it works well. It's just such a portable unit, and that's what gives it the advantage over laptops. For gaming as well, is because you might not always want to take out a full laptop. And if you do want a keyboard, a mouse, etc., then you can pack those in a relatively small bag. And you've got the functionality of a standard PC. And so far, whether it's browsing or doing basic office tasks, I've not had any problems at all. Now, the bit that most of you have been waiting for is to find out the gaming side of things. So unlike the Steam Deck, as I said before, this is not a console experience. Like you have with a PC, you're expected to make sure the software, your drivers, and your BIOS are updated to ensure that your games run properly. Then once you're in the game, you're responsible for setting the graphics level, choosing what resolution you want to be running at, and just try to tailor make the experience to your system. Obviously, if you're coming from a console, 95% of these settings are automatically optimized for that console. So you never have to think about that, which is why stuff like the Nintendo Switch is still a really solid portable gaming device. Now, one of the biggest issues are the dead zones on the analog sticks. So basically, if you wanted to play your FPS games, you're going to have a really hard time with precision because moving the analog stick a little does nothing. Now, what I find frustrating personally about this issue is on Reddit, Asus have addressed this problem and they've basically said a handful of users have reported it when even the initial units that were sent out to large influencers had the same issues with the dead zones and was mentioned by a few. It feels like they're saying people need to keep reporting it, and then if they get enough reports, then they will make the effort to fix it. But it is a massive issue for a lot of people. Now, in the Armory crate, you do have the option to customize dead zones, but obviously that's not working because the software issue already exists. I've tried in games like Halo changing the sensitivity, but it's not fixed it for me. Some people have said that on Steam they've adjusted the controller settings and they've had more success, but again, the whole point of this unit is that you can play all your games, not just Steam-based games. And whether you change them on Steam doesn't affect if you're playing EA Play, PC Game Pass, Epic Games, etc. Overall, I've been impressed with the performance of most games like Street Fighter, etc. that work really well on the device. I think that some time and some more optimization, then you're looking at a really impressive unit, which will be able to handle some really impressive games. Now, with the ROG Armory Crate software, on the whole, I've been fairly happy with it. The command center has plenty of customization and allows for a lot of on-the-go controls that make the PC experience a lot easier. For the most part, it worked well for updating drivers, but one issue I have is that my Asus is also needed for other bigger updates. It isn't automatically included in this area, which is, in my opinion, it should be, because it just takes the amount of apps you're needing to run. The games library, for the most part, puts all your games where you need them, so another nice feature. It can still be a bit clunky at times, but ultimately we are early adopters of the product, and I'm sure with time they will improve this. And it's sold a lot of units. Asus won't want to stop that momentum. I know, however, a lot of people have already returned their units for various reasons. Battery life, I stated in one of my previous videos, when it comes to portable gaming, it is what you make of it. Even with the old Game Boys, you'd have to carry around extra batteries. So From my perspective, if you're going to buy a handheld gaming unit, a power bank should be a standard consideration, but you need to make sure that it's capable of charging at the same power delivery as a plug, so 60 to 65 watts and above. Otherwise, you'll find it won't be able to keep up with the demands of your machine. Obviously, you can optimize games to play at lower wattage, but again, I think most people will be happy if they buy a power bank because they'll be able to play AAA games for a lot longer. So to summarise, the ROG Ally is a good handheld gaming PC. I haven't been able to try it with an external graphics card dock, which is a shame, but I would assume they work really well. However, you have to weigh up the pros and cons of whether it's worth buying an external graphics card, as well as how you're going to use it. If you're just looking for a more home-based unit, you might find that a PC or laptop is a lot better investment. As I stated a minute ago, this is a handheld gaming PC, and that's one of the biggest things to take away, is that it depends on what you want from your portable gaming machine. If you're really into playing AAA titles, then you should buy the ROG Ally. If you want the console-like experience, you could buy the cheapest Steam Deck and upgrade the hard drive, which would cost considerably less than the ROG Ally. But then obviously you'd be restricted to a degree on what titles you can play. Now, although both of these consoles can do the same thing, another consideration is the Logitech G Cloud. This unit allows you to play Android games as well as stream titles from Microsoft Game Pass while being connected to the internet. The controls on it are really good. It has a bigger screen and good battery life. Other than that, if you don't want to play AAA titles that maybe require you to sit and concentrate for longer periods of time, it may be worth looking at other solutions such as a backbone or another type of control for your mobile phone, which with most modern phones, you can play a lot of quite demanding games, and you can also stream PlayStation and I believe Xbox games directly to it. Other than that, if you were cautious or you're just really not sure whether you should buy the unit yet, then hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more updates. And hopefully in the near future there will be some quality of life improvements and updates to fix the issues I've mentioned. Let me know down below if there's any other questions you have, and tell me your experience if you're an owner of one. Thanks for watching. I'm Danny, and this is Big Bots Little Bots Unbots, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.